Back when he was a Jedi General as Anakin Skywalker, he had armies of clones at his disposal. More so, these clones had actually befriended Anakin, and they were quite literally like brothers in arms. This quickly dissipated once he became Darth Vader and the Galactic Republic reformed into the Empire. He relied much on the 501st when he first started off, but within a decade he was left all by his lonesome. All he could do now was borrow some stormtroopers for an action or a mission, and this was usually a scheme or an idea composed by an Imperial governor like Tarkin or a general like Tage. Vader quite literally felt like he was on a leash, with no army to back him up, like in the good old days during the Clone Wars. And this is how slowly he started reminiscing, reminding himself of how good he had it. Not as Anakin Skywalker, but how good he had it as a general of an army, all to himself, with no repercussions and no one to answer to. This all began when Vader reluctantly started his secret quest to create his own mini army and by hook or crook take over the entire empire for himself. To start, he located one of the most highly skilled archaeologists and engineers, Dr. Aphra. As it so happens, she was in a world of trouble at that moment and Vader had to bail her out. What Aphra did was steal the 000 protocol personality matrix, or 000 for short, and as she was getting apprehended, Vader came in and slaughtered everyone. He had most need of Aphra and her droid and weapons expertise. In saying that, Vader went through a lot to find her, torturing, killing, and whatever needed to be done. Aphra didn't even want to know how Vader ended up finding her. Inside her ship, the Archangel Aphra was now talking insensibly, and we all know Vader hates people who talk too much. In fact, he even told Aphra exactly that she is too fond of talking. But you have to understand that she was nervous, really nervous. I mean, imagine yourself, if you were in the same room as the Mr. Sith legend himself, Darth Vader, I'm guessing we would blabber a little bit too. But Aphra gathered herself in the end and the courage to ask what did Vader really want with her. In this brief moment, Vader was forced to talk about the past, a time when he was a Jedi General, a time when an entire clone army was fighting beside him and he was basically the biggest hero the galaxy had ever seen. Then he chose a different life, a life of significance, or so he thought. He talked about it. He talked briefly about the Clone Wars. There was a time when Vader had armies at his beck and call. Unfortunately for him, that time, the Clone Wars, had long passed. Now he needed a new army, a better one, an army that would be obedient at all times with unflinching loyalty. Aphra definitely did help him with that, and what Vader did with that army is a story for another day, but it was heartfelt to see Vader talk about the Clone Wars, even if it was cold and short. He still remembers those glorious times. I think we can quite safely assume that by this time Vader had somewhat regretted his actions back in Revenge of the Sith. He literally spouted the words, "What have I done?" after he sliced Windu's arm. It was that feeling all over again. Sidious had all but turned his back on Darth Vader, especially afterwards when Sidious learned that there was another Skywalker, a younger and possibly more powerful Skywalker in Luke, and Vader could be subsequently replaced. An older, half-machine, half-man that no longer could serve his purpose in the mind of Palpatine. It was a sad reality that Darth Vader had to come to grips with. He was no longer the prime apprentice that Sidious coveted, and this is what led him to ultimately seek out his own army, in the end wishing to wipe out Sidious and replace him as the Emperor himself. What Aphra was not aware of, however, was that not only did Vader reminisce about the Clone Wars, but he probably missed his his obedient and loyal friend Captain Rex, together with the rest of the squad. The teamwork was unprecedented, and deep inside, Darth Vader knew that he would never have that again. Even if he discovers and constructs the best droid army he could get his hands on, nothing could replace the bond that he shared with those clones. And I'm sure Vader wasn't thrilled at all to be talking about Anakin Skywalker in particular, and especially that era that he wanted to forget so much, as the Clone Wars in his mind represented a moment in time where it was his peak. As he said, there was an army at his beck and call, he had a wife waiting for him home, and by the end, she was pregnant. Everything was going so magnificently if it was not for the secret marriage that he had with Padme, but the Clone Wars for him was the peak of his life because he had all the power he desired. He felt enough power that quenched his thirst. This is why he remembers that era so fondly. Not only did he have an army, but the head of that army, Captain Rex, was his close and personal friend. Next, he had Ahsoka by his side, his apprentice, and his best friend, his brother Obi-Wan, was together with him till the end. That era could not replace anything he had experienced so far in the loneliness of the Empire. I feel deep inside, as much as he wanted to pretend that the Empire and the Sith were better, simply put, it was not. It was a complete disappointment both for Palpatine and Vader. At least that's my thinking of it. Palpatine was disappointed in Vader, and Vader was disappointed because the promises to him were not met. But of course, what do you guys think as well? Talk to me down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.